No, we're both assholes. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Chaotic Sports Podcast. My name's Chris Sarda. Today we have an oldie but goodie, not his age, but the fact that he used to be a host quite often on the Chaotic Sports Podcast. What?
I wasn't sure if that was an insult. Like that was definitely taking the moment to register. But go ahead.
You registered. You could find us on Twitter at Chaotic Sports. You could find us on Instagram at Chaotic Sports Media. Angelo, the podcast host, who surely will get on when he finds out that we're live streaming. He'll probably try to pop on.
Oh yeah.
He has a new Twitter account. I don't know if you saw it, called Chaotic Wagers.
Oh, okay.
So follow that, because you know how I used to just put a bunch of like just esoteric bets all the way down to Twitter.
Yeah,
have you noticed?
He would like
it's
there
cool.
was no real legitimate like standards. He was just throwing all. He would have. I think he bet all 182,000. He made all 182,000 picks. Of his sportsbook
so
offer.
He's still putting out a lot of picks, but he's putting them on Chaotic Wagers. So go follow that. You can find me on Twitter at Chris Sarda. Wayne is at Never Do I Lose, but that's really hard. And there's a tweet going out in a second for this live stream, and you can find him there. So, hey, Wayne, we got if we continue to do this and I improve my camera, we improve our sound, whatever, we got lots to talk about. Today, let's keep it simple. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to talk football, and we're going to talk the football you love to talk. We're going to talk the football. We're going to talk the football that you can talk with very little preparation. And it's going to be about the thing you love the most and the thing you hate the most. So we're going to talk a little bit of Browns.
Yes.
And we're going to talk a little bit of Cowboys. So,
all right, so let's be honest. I can talk about all NFL sports teams pretty well, but
we're going to do a lightning round afterwards, but I do want to let's get deep on these two teams, because the title of this live stream is who has it worse, the Cowboys or the Browns? And this hey, let me just preface this for a second though, because I could have named this a lot of things. I could have named this who has it worse right now. I could have named this who would you want to be going forward. I can name it who's in more dire straits between these. So we can talk about it. The truth is, though, is that both teams are not matching their preseason or early season expectations right now. So I want you to just give me a little bit of Browns thought. That's what I want. I know right away I'm going to disagree with you. I thought the Browns looked as bad or worse than they did last week. I think that it was not them scoring all those points in the game. But go ahead and spread it out. Go ahead and spread it out. And I'm gonna tweet the live stream.
So here's the football truth, America. You're gonna get it straight with no chaser. The Cleveland Browns are a great collection of talent. The strength of the team thus far is defense and our running game, which are important to have as a foundation to find success throughout the season, long term, and possibly in the playoffs. It's a written rule in football that two things travel: defense and running game. So as long as we stick,
are you guys going to the playoffs?
As long as we stick to that, I think that we can get to a championship, or not championship. Whoa, let me curb those. Let me curb those words. We can, as long as we get things together here soon after this bye week. I think I see at least a playoff game in our future, which is, and this is providing because the good thing about the Browns schedule, even though it's tough early, is that later on in the season, our division is a little weaker. It's not as weak as some of the other divisions, but we do have the ability to beat the teams in our division, and that's the first step to consistent playoff contending teams.
Okay, so let's unpack some of that before we get into the game against the Seahawks. Playoff victory or playoff appearance, or not this year?
Playoffs?
You're gonna make the.
Are we
You're making
talking
the
about
playoffs?
playoffs? Are we
You're
talking
making-
about playoffs?
You're gonna make the
Who was
playoffs?
that quote? Who was that quote? Who said that? There was a coach. I can't think. If I can think of it, we'll have to give him a shout out. But yeah, I think we do make the playoffs. Now the question is does that other team make the playoffs?
What other team? No, we're not going to the Cowboys yet.
Oh,
not yet,
okay.
dude. There's a lot to talk about the Browns. What do you want this to be? A 14-minute podcast? Like, there's a lot to talk about the Browns. Then we'll talk about the Cowboys, and then we'll compare them. Okay. So you're thinking, and I'm not sure I disagree yet with you because I think the Browns are not going to have a great record. But the truth is that the AFC North, I could see a lot happening there. Lamar Jackson might not. We've seen Lamar Jackson look good and incredible. And probably just above mediocre. And in only 6 weeks, Lamar Jackson's been all over the place. We finally saw the Lamar Jackson that I think should exist, the one that's 50% pass, 50% run, this week. So I still think the Ravens probably end up as the winners of that division. I don't know if you agree or disagree, but so you might be thinking wild card. But the truth is that the Steelers are in dire straits and the Bengals are terrible. The Bengals are one of the worst teams in the league right now. Even the 17 points they scored or whatever they end up with was on a run back from the very first play of the game, right? So saying that the Browns will make the playoffs, that doesn't sound crazy to me. But I don't think
far-fetched.
But I don't think the Browns would play a team like the Texans or the Colts. Maybe they could beat the Bills. I'm trying to think of the kind of team they would play as a wild card.
So here's what I will say is this. I would like to also, I feel like a lot of people forget that last season, at the end of the year, the Ravens playoff hopes, as well as the Steelers playoff hopes, were hinging on the Browns winning or losing in the game versus the Ravens. So, I mean, we have the ability to play with the Ravens. So, and we beat them once at home in their house, handedly. So we have the ability to, right? No, we beat them this season.
A few weeks ago.
You're right. A few weeks ago is what actually put us up as at the number one spot in the division. And so, yeah, it's going to be a bumpy road. I think the Ravens were kind of a formulated team already based on their success and what they've had with Joe Flacco. And they kind of inserted Lamar Jackson into the equation and tried to build the team around them. There was already a built team. Here in Cleveland, I think they're assembling a whole new team altogether, essentially, of young players, a collection of talent. And it's going to take some time for all of that to be cohesive and show production on the field consistently, because that's important.
I'm glad that this new Wayne, 5 weeks into the season, is more even keeled than the Wayne that I can go find text messages of in the, basically from the moment they signed or got Odell Beckham. What you doing, dude? Why are you turning things around?
I didn't. My screen went dark.
Oh. Well, we'll wait for you to come back, dude.
That was weird.
It went to sleep. It doesn't know that you're working on it. You know what I mean? So no, you're good. We'll fix it next time. Every 5 minutes, just touch your screen. So it knows you're there or something. Whatever. No big deal. Yeah, the Wayne now, today, listen, I don't want to take away. You were excited. I'm not going to take away from you.
Yeah, I'm human.
Yeah, because it's been almost your lifetime, definitely your adult life, that there was never anything to be excited about. Every now and then you get a quarterback, but you knew the team sucked and the quarterback had questions, and you have a list of 15 of those quarterbacks over the last 20 years. And now it's exciting, right? Yeah, I mean, the least exciting guy is super exciting. I know he got hurt, but Njoku getting that tight end was a big deal. And that was before Landry, before a guy like Baker Mayfield that looks like he could lead the team. We'll see about that before getting ODB and all that. So I'm not going to fault you on it. But now that we're 6 weeks in or 5 weeks in, this Wayne is the one I agree with. That, hey, there's a lot of talent on that team, but it's going to take more than a year for it to gel. Maybe some hope that we get to the playoffs or that you guys get to the playoffs, I think is reasonable. If they were in a different division, I wouldn't think it was that reasonable because I do think 9-7 is the best it's getting.
Well, wait a minute. Let's be honest. I just have to. What if we were playing in the AFC East?
Well, the AFC East is hard because that division sucks, except for the best team in the league, the New England Patriots. But it's hard. It's hard to tell how good the Bills actually are. To be honest, I don't know. I know they're not 4-1.
Here's the grand scheme of things. I think in when it matters, and I always like to look at football from a when it matters perspective. I always look at it as in the playoffs, and in the playoffs, you have to rely on your quarterback to have the ability to win with their arm, especially in crunch time. And I don't think, even though I like the kid Allen, because he's a Mount West Conference player that made it to the NFL, a starting player in the NFL. So shout out Wyoming, Mount West Conference. But I don't think that his arm strength is definitely something that can help out in the playoffs. But I don't think his arm talent. I don't think his arm talent, as far as accuracy, throwing guys open, and the precision of route. I think all of that is what matters in the playoffs.
Oh, you said arm strength is there.
Yeah.
You said arm strength is there. I agree with that this year. But I think he's a smart guy. And I think he'll develop. I mean, here's the other main fact. And I know that people are trying to like count the seconds Baker Mayfield holds onto the ball, and maybe some of it is his fault. But all that spending they did on all these skill position players, developing Chubb, but then also we forget they signed what's his name that's coming in
Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt, and I'm so excited for that.
But none of that matters if you don't pay the 4 guys that protect them all. Right now, that's a big problem. And I get it that Baker's holding onto the ball too much, but it's both. It's both because he can't learn to start throwing it if he's getting chased all the time. He's too afraid even to step into the pocket.
Okay, so here's the reality is our offensive line stuff. We have pass protected. We have found success in running the football because Nick Chubb has found success. What I'm looking forward to is instead of having Dillard or Hillard, the guy who dropped the ball when in crunch time when the game mattered, it'll be either when I think I don't remember the specific play, but it was like a screen to the running back. It was like basically our last down or series in the game, and he dropped it. Baker threw it a little behind him, but he dropped it. I look forward to having Kareem Hunt or Nick Chubb in that position. And I think in the playoffs when it gets colder and injuries are mounting up for teams, I think as the season goes on deeper, we'll find more wins simply because the dynamic duo of both of those running backs will be punishing for defensive linemen as the games go on, as the season goes on. So we'll have no choice but to run the football first. And I think that's good. Important.
I think the team's built that way. In a lot of ways, you'd be the ceiling and the high hope in a lot of ways is that you guys could look like the 49ers. That's probably what you want to look like, where you have a little bit of a running back by committee, except I think that your running backs, Chubb and I keep wanting to call him Tyreek Hill, Chubb and what's his name coming back?
Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, I think that your running backs, even though it'll be more of a committee, Chubb and Hunt are a little bit better than, say, Breda and Coleman. And the Niners have one other decent guy there. Let the defense run things and not have to rely on your quarterback of questionable skill level. And I think that's your ceiling.
Whoa.
Questionable skill level at this point in time.
Here's the problem, is that I don't think he has questionable skill level or skills. I think what a lot of people don't realize is why I think coaching. Bill Belichick is the model that we all know that coaching matters, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you are a big proponent of Tom Brady is just a decent quarterback. You know, I'm not putting words in your mouth. Don't pretend. But Kyle Shanahan is very impressive as a head coach.
That's why I said the Niners would be the ceiling. That'd be your hope, because the Niners are a run-first team with a good defense, active defense. That's what you want to be, a run-first team like that. I'm not saying that Kitchens is the level of Shanahan. I agree with you. Shanahan is the shit.
Look at what happened with Matt Ryan. Look what happened with Matt Ryan's play after he left. That he was the coach. He was the offensive coordinator for the Falcons in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan hasn't looked that good since. The Falcons were the Falcons.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the NFC South is another fun conversation. Let's get to the Browns. Let's get real specific since it is the end of week 5. Let's talk about the actual game that happened yesterday. Now, if you didn't watch the game and you didn't have this, this hope in your heart that you have, this game actually looks pretty close. It looks like I said that the Seahawks, even when the Seahawks were down, I go, the Seahawks would probably still win by 3, because as great as Russell Wilson is, he does keep it close. They won by 4. And people will look at this, they go, well, look, the Browns put up 28 points. The Seahawks are one of the best teams in the NFC, although it's hard to say who's the best team in the NFC. Russell Wilson is a future Hall of Famer. I think we can all agree with that now. I think he's the MVP so far, in my opinion.
Big Ten.
Yeah. And it looks like that the Browns, after laying an egg last week, put up 28 points. And I'm gonna let you pump up the way the Browns played in this game. Let's talk about this game specifically, and then I'm gonna try to take a little air out of that balloon, and then I'm gonna see what you say, and then we'll go on to the Cowboys. So tell me about yesterday's game. Tell me. Give me some pluses, give me some minuses, and then give me your final thought on yesterday's game.
Well, the reality of it is, there's a lot of mistakes and turnovers in the game.
Yeah.
So for me, that
stems
on coaching.
I like him.
For me, that stems on coaching. Like anyone that doesn't even you don't have to like Baker Mayfield, but you could have watched him last year and said this guy is an accurate thrower of the football. That's what
I love Baker Mayfield. That was a joke. I love Baker.
He is a accurate thrower of the football. What's happening now, I think, is that offensive line is shaky at best when it comes to pass protecting. And I think he feels the need to get rid of the ball quickly. And so he's not throwing the ball with his feet set and accurately. I think that is a big problem with the consistency of our offense playing and flowing fluidly. I think he sees things and he gets rid of the ball, but he's also running away from a defensive end or a defensive lineman.
So what happened it seems like every game this year, except for the Ravens game, he's holding on to the ball a lot. For some reason, that Ravens game, he's able to let it go. I think I may even seen him step into the pocket a couple times. He seems to be taking that 3-step drop. Something doesn't look right to him, and then he backs up 3 or 4 to the right or left. In the Ravens game, he was getting rid of the ball quickly. So
this game, he was also getting rid of the ball quickly, but in turn, the precision of the receivers, the pass catchers, wasn't as accurate, and the balls were behind them more than they were on the body. Like from playing the game, the best thing to do is you want to throw the ball in the numbers if you can. You want to hit them with the numbers, and they'll hopefully catch it. And the rule is, of course, if it touches your hands, you should catch it. But Odell Beckham dropped passes. Landry, right? At least 2 passes in the game against what's the team against the team we just played, Seattle. Yeah. Odell. Landry dropped a couple passes as well. A couple of the running backs, and surprisingly, Nick Chubb fumbled the football late in the game, which that I don't think that's going to be a common occurrence. I think he was just trying to do he was trying to put a lot of effort in and will the team to victory. I think
So
that kid is.
Let's reel it in. You started with minuses because you're a Browns fan and that's just what you're used to. You started with minuses. So in general, if I were to put this in bullet points, although you believe in Baker Mayfield, passes were inaccurate because of various reasons like the offensive line, maybe play calling, and there were some drops. Another negative is you don't, at this point in time at least, because he's also a young coach, you don't think Freddie Kitchens is doing – do you think he has the potential to improve, or do you think that they need to make a change?
I think Freddie Kitchens, obviously, I think he has the potential to improve. I think that there needs to be some focus on precision and discipline, and his play calling, it needs to be different. I think with a minute and 30 seconds left, and you have the ball in the red zone, and it's 2nd and 8. I don't think a pass when your running game has been the focal point and what you found success at in your game, the whole game. I don't think that at 2nd and 8 in the red zone that the decision to throw the football on 2nd and 8 and then Baker throw it inaccurately and be an interception and allow
So there's
Russell
some
Wilson,
Monday morning.
right? Allow Russell Wilson to have the ball and going into the half and score and then get the ball back. So there are two things with Freddie Kitchens that I would like to see. One, I think the strength of our defense, our team is our defense right now, as well as our running game. So I prefer that he defers the football because his arrogancy has allowed him to receive the football. And so we don't have time to make corrections. Even if we stink up the first half, we don't have a chance to start on a good foot in the second half because we've deferred the football and the other team is getting the ball. So I think we need to allow our defense to make stops.
The middle 8, yeah.
I think we need to allow our team to get stops and focus on our defense excelling. And then he needs better play calling, situational football. I think he's terrible at that right now. I think calling the right plays at the right time and the right down and distance, I think that it's less than lackluster, and I'd like to see a better performance there.
Okay, so that bullet point is that Freddie Kitchens can maybe improve. You're not completely throwing him out, but you're seeing issues. So let me I don't watch the Browns as close as you do, of course, but I'm gonna just throw in a couple observations. Number one, I think one of the things that can, and I agree with the run game needs to be the base, especially when Hunt comes in. So I agree that the run game needs to be the base. But to help Baker Mayfield, I think what I saw success at was the idea that they can't worry about the plays developing and getting it to Odell. The truth is that, and I think you and I both thought they were both rookies. The truth is that, and I don't know if it's true now, but you and I, before they played their first NFL snap, loved Jarvis Landry. And
that's my boy.
Still love Jarvis Landry. And Jarvis Landry's already proved that he's a high volume catcher and needs a lot of targets. He doesn't necessarily need to be going long, and although I think he can. But we saw with Tannehill that he can catch a lot of balls, and the only time we've seen him get a lot of targets is when they looked really good against the Ravens. So in my mind, and I don't want to go into this piece right here, when I said it's too simple to say you need to establish the run to open up the pass. So in my mind, and I don't want to get into that, that's too simple. In my mind, what you need to do is you need to establish those small routes and those quick passes with a receiver that's one of the best.
Rhythm
passing. And also linebackers need to stay in, need to worry about Landry, need to worry about whoever WR number 3 is, whoever your third wide receiver is. Then Odell Beckham starts opening up. The truth is you only need that long pass play to open up twice in a game, and that's 14 points, So that's one of the things I would like to see. I'd like to see Jarvis Landry used a lot more. I'd like Jarvis Landry to be, if we're going to use baseball terms, I'd like him to be the average guy, hitting singles, hitting doubles. And I'd like, when the home run opens up, to swing for it, which is Odell Beckham. And that's
I don't know what this is, but this is like a newfound version of you. Like you're making some real sense talking football right now. Like you're understanding the X's and O's, and I appreciate that, because on our thread with our friends, maybe you're just trolling them. I don't know. Maybe you're just trolling.
I'm not trolling. You only get so much in a text. The other person that would have really helped with that is Njoku, who I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong, and I apologize. But that tight end, that little situation would have really helped. And I'm not sure how good of a blocker he is. You probably know better about that, but I know he's a good receiving tight end. So that would have helped for all of that, opening up, making sure that those linebackers are busy in the what I like to call the Brady quarter. That 7 yards, and then when Kitchens knows what he's doing, there's some yards after the catch, because Njoku with strength, with size, and Jarvis Landry with speed and athleticism. So I'd like to see that build up. In this game, though, I'm sorry to say, I know the score says 32-28, but I think that without the Seahawks defense coming out soft, because Seahawks defense came out soft, this score is more like 32-14.
Now, let me ask, like you say that, but like the defense, I don't think they came out soft. Did they make some better adjustments after the first half? Absolutely.
No, they made it after a sideline meeting in the middle of the second half.
I think that
they all got together, and you guys scored one more time.
But what does that tell you, though? Doesn't that tell you that the Browns made a lot of mistakes, obviously? With the offensive production that we had, 400 yards of offense, 4 turnovers. I mean, I think that just tells you that we hurt ourselves.
I don't have these stats here. I think that we should take the second half stats and scoring and double them, and that's what actually happened. I think that you guys scoring those 20 points was more on the Seahawks coming in a little loose than they should, because as soon as they realize that this basic head coach and this still developing quarterback is scoring points on us, and we got to tighten it up to give Russell Wilson and that offense a chance to figure out the defense. As soon as that happened in the second quarter, not in the second half, in the second quarter, you guys scored 1 touchdown in the second half after that. That was it.
I think it was 20. It was 20-6, by the way, just so you know.
At that point, exactly. That's exactly what it was. And you guys scored.
And it should have been. It should have been 27-6. But Baker threw with under 2 minutes left in the first half. He threw an interception in the red zone. And I think that there was terrible play call.
That's the call you were talking about.
By the head coach.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's move on.
It would have been 27-6.
We spent 30 minutes on the Cleveland Browns podcast. Let's move on to the other side. Your other favorite thing to talk about, and that is the count it 3 losses in a row. Dallas Cowboys. Wait, is it 3 or 4? Wait, I had this prepared.
It is 3. Three losses in a row.
3 losses in a row.
Because they beat
Dallas
up on
Cowboys.
3 teams. They beat up on 3 teams early: the Miami Dolphins, the Redskins, and I believe it was the Giants.
It was the Giants,
and their fans
were. What's his name had mono.
They were 3-0. They were 3-0. They were 3-0.
Yeah. I mean, the only team that has a more embarrassing schedule is the Patriots. You know what I'm saying? Anyway,
I will agree. I can agree on that.
And I'm not saying the Patriots are bad though, although Brady's not playing great. Now the Dallas Cowboys, week 6, I would have to check this, but this is a stat I heard offhand, and I'll retweet it because I think it was Twitter, so I'll retweet it, and then we can check it. This stat said that week 6 through 16, if you just take week 6 through 16, Dallas has the most difficult schedule in the NFL. If they have the most difficult schedule in the NFL, and they're playing like they're playing, that's not a playoff team.
I know. I love it.
Okay, let's get personal here for a second. What makes you hate the Cowboys?
Okay. What makes me hate the Cowboys? It's been a deep rooted issue with me since I would say the fourth grade. I had a very close best friend. Shout out to Pat Murphy.
Pat Murphy.
He was a Cowboys fan back with Emmitt Smith and Troy Aikman. And me being from Cleveland, of course, I'm a hometown boy, so I was a Browns fan. So I never really liked him then because he was always boasting and bragging about their success. And fast forward many years later in life, those fans are still the same way, no matter where you go and when you meet them.
Are you thinking you're thinking of two particular Cowboy fans, you know?
Absolutely. And the thing about the Cowboys is
are those fans Asian?
Let's just be honest. I mean, I'm a 40-year-old man, and they haven't really been relevant and successful consistently since I was in the fourth grade. So, what does that tell you? What does that tell you about this football team dynasty of success?
Well, it means the bandwagon was strong. All those guys jumped on the bandwagon, but they mostly stayed on. You got to give them credit.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. I don't know anybody that was a Cowboy. I don't know anyone that was a Cowboys fan when I was in elementary school, junior high, etc. That's now a Patriots fan. Because obviously that would be the bandwagon that you're on. That'd be the bandwagon, right?
What bandwagon am I on? I'm not a bandwagoner at all. What are you talking about?
Your second favorite team is definitely the New England Patriots.
What?
You may not know it. You may not know it. Your second favorite New England Patriots.
Second favorite team is going to be the Raiders.
It's going to be for Vegas?
Vegas. I'm supporting LV, Sin City.
For the people live, we're more likely to have rewind since this is our first live broadcast, and I'm literally the only watcher. I'm watching on my phone. I'm literally the only watcher. But for the people that might see this on the rewind, this is mostly a Vegas-based show. If you listen to the podcast, me and Angelo, Wayne was a major component to the show. We had him on as much as possible when we lived down here in Vegas. He moved to Cleveland, where his family's from, where his roots are, and now we're bringing him back in the YouTube live stream, and that's why we spent 30 minutes on. So here's the thing: Wayne used to spend 30 minutes on Cleveland when it was like Derek Anderson or whoever the quarterback was. When they were like going to be last week, he'd come into the podcast and we'd be like, let's talk about the Lakers, or let's talk about that. And Wayne would be like, let's do 30 minutes on our terrible Browns. Now it makes sense. So let's bring him back in. The Browns are relevant. Let's bring him back in. So, but back to the Cowboys. So the Cowboys were the opposite of the Browns this week because the Browns started out well and then looked like crap in the second half. The Cowboys looked like crap in the first half and then caught up. Now, I would say that, the Browns have a little bit more room to have some positives there because it was against the Seahawks. It was against a Hall of Fame quarterback. The Cowboys don't have a lot of excuse because it was the New York Jets. And listen, I know that they got Sam Darnold back, but no one thought Sam Darnold was a super game changer. He's obviously better than Bulk or whatever, but no one expected this. And it's not like there's no tape on Sam Darnold. So what do you think about yesterday's game? I'll read you some guidelines too in a second.
I think that, the Cowboys are also a very run-heavy team. So that's their strength of their team, as well as it was supposed to be their defense. Yeah. What happened to their defense? I don't really know. Like, I'm upset because I have DeMarcus Lawrence on my fantasy team as a defensive end, and I'm expecting him to get like 10 to 12 sacks at least. And, I just want to know, are they really them boys? You know what I'm saying? Like, are they really about that life? Are they really going to get out there and play some smash mouth football and bust somebody in the head? And right now, I know everybody was talking about their defense. Sean Lee, best linebacking core in the NFL with what's the young man that went to Notre Dame?
Van Der Esch.
Jalen. Well, Van Der Esch, he was he played in in the Mount West Boise. Was it Boise? Did he play at?
Oh,
Anyway,
down west. Yeah.
Well, Van Der Esch is supposed to be a replacement for Sean Lee, who's always hurt. And then they had Jalen that played at Notre Dame, that had a horrific leg injury that battled back to be able to play. But those were supposed to be the two best linebackers in the NFL. And then with the defensive line, I don't know what's going on with their secondary as well. Obviously, if Sam Darnold, who's been out of football for quite a few weeks, can be in sync well enough to find success passing the football on their secondary, that would tell me that their secondary is a little lackluster as well. So a combination of them. Go ahead.
Let
me make this last point.
Go ahead.
Let me make this last point. So a combination of their defense not playing well forces any team that plays them that does get ahead. It forces Dak to have to throw the football. And I think when you force Dak Prescott to have to throw the football, you can easily find success against the Cowboys, because that's not his strong point.
So let's break this down by so it looks like the Jets came out and maybe surprised the Cowboys a lot, but they scored 21 in the first half. And then that defense, and this has happened to the Cowboys a few weeks. They're getting down early. It happened against the Packers too. And I can't remember what happened last week, but they let the Cowboys have 21 points on them, and then they adjusted, where it's almost worked the other way around. And then the offense came back and was able to put at least 16 up. So the truth is that, okay, the defense looked bad at the beginning, but they still only let 24 points go up on the board. Even I remember 10 years ago when 15 years ago when Tampa Bay was that elite defense, they were saying, if we let 17 on the board, the offense has to do the rest, and no one's saying that the Cowboys are as good as that Tampa Bay defense from years ago. So letting 24 on the board, that means that they readjusted. I think a lot of it is maybe how prepared they are. They need to figure out what's going on early, because they're giving up lots of points. If Aaron Rodgers scores a lot on you and you adjust to him, that's good. But Sam Darnold shouldn't do it. So there is a defensive issue there, but they do have points in the game where they work well. I mean, they only gave up 3 points in the second half.
But my point was, I think that the problem is maybe their defense did make some adjustments, but the problem is if the team is playing from behind, I don't think they're built to play from behind.
That might be true too. So what you said is Dak has to throw, and the truth is that, okay, so you had an 89 quarterback rating. That's okay. Aaron Rodgers had an 85 quarterback rating last week, but that was because when they got into the red zone, I forget his first name, but the running back had 4 touchdowns, right? So they just chose for Aaron Rodgers not to throw in the red zone. So I don't think this Dak Prescott line is so bad. He went 28 for 40. He had 275 yards. You'd like to see more in today's game. 6.9 yard average. That's not good. But he ended up with an 89 rating. So if one of those were a touchdown, if he threw 1 touchdown, he would have been, I could do the math real quick, but he would have been, high 90s probably. So you're right. I think you're right though. Let me preface that right away. That I think you're right that they need to be base running team. And they haven't really done that. Ezekiel Elliott has had quiet games where he's had 100 yards. He had 105 yesterday. But there's no game where I've watched the Cowboys and been like, oh, Ezekiel Elliott's taking over, the same way that probably you and I did last year. So even though Ezekiel Elliott is quietly having a solid year, getting his 100 yards and whatnot, he's not taking over the games. And I think that's where you and I can agree on it. There are also some injuries. That offensive line is still good, but it's not the elite offensive line that I think that they had at the beginning of the year. But then again, where you and I would agree also is that Dak is not the guy to play in a situation where the line is bad. I mean, almost no one is. But, we saw Deshaun Watson with one of the worst lines in the league. He can occasionally make something happen. If he holds onto the ball, which he shouldn't, he'll make something happen. I don't know that Dak is that guy. Dak needs all these other winning wheels spinning well, and then he's not going to make mistakes. If he's not getting hit, that's when he starts throwing dimes, and we start getting texts from our Cowboy friend Tyler about how great Dak is, right?
Oh, yeah. You based on yesterday's game, you would have never known that the Cowboys played.
Yeah,
we surely didn't get many texts from Tyler Herndonberger. But, I just think that the
you didn't say his last name, but don't say his last name on here. We haven't asked him. But let me just read the text, because I asked him, if you remember. And he was honest.
Okay.
He was honest. Remember, I go, where's Tyler? Where's his crickets? Oh, he goes, hey, you're nonstop on this thread early in the year when the Cowboys were winning crickets the last few weeks. He just said, I don't have any reason to chirp. He's chirping about the Nationals. He doesn't even watch. He doesn't even watch face, so he's chirping about the Nationals.
I know. He was probably on a Sunday chirping about the Texas Longhorns.
Probably. Hopefully on a different
guy.
thread.
This guy. But, I just think that they're not built. They are definitely not built with the quarterback that they have to play from behind. I think, especially against a good defense. I think that, and you're to pose to the topic of our conversation or the title of this podcast, in that situation, at some point, I think between the Browns and the Cowboys, I think we do have the offensive talent. Once our quarterback gets things together, once our coach starts scheming properly and effectively, I think we do have the talent to play somewhat from behind if we need to. I think, like, for instance, last night against we did have a chance to win the game late in the game. We had that opportunity, and so I think if the Browns were, or if Dallas was in that exact same situation versus Seahawks, I don't think they find success.
So, which coaching staff would you rather have?
Ooh, that's tough, man. That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Because they're both probably holding both back. And this is not today. This is off into the future.
I'm going to say the Browns coaching staff, and then it's not because of a homer. It's because we have a first-year head coach versus a coach that's been in place and his staff.
Almost a decade.
And we're still seeing the exact same types of production and mistakes. I think the Browns did a little bit better in that.
I agree. I think that one's up in the air. But if I had to choose, I'd choose the Browns. Quarterback.
I think Dak. I think here's what
it should be easy for you. I already know the answer. Don't
of course you do.
Dude. Yeah, just say it.
Of course you do.
We're winding down, dude.
I think that Baker Mayfield is truly a better quarterback of the football, throwing the football. And I think if you put Baker in the Dallas Cowboys situation, I think that they would have at least one or two more wins than what they have now.
They would have figured out a way to win. Offensive line is easy. Obviously, you want Dallas's running game.
Running game for
that's the hard one.
Well, running game for the 2019 season, I'll say the Browns, because we have this is what I'm saying. We have one running back that can probably is leading the league, or if not top 3 in leading the league in rushing yards thus far. And we also have a Pro Bowler coming in late in the season with fresh legs. You got 2 thoroughbred horses in the race. I like your situation better as opposed to just having one thoroughbred horse in the race with the Cowboys.
Yeah,
that's my argument.
The argument is good. The argument is good because it's 2, right? And who knows anything? What could happen to Zeke at any moment, right? If Chubb goes down, you still have Hunt. If Hunt goes down, you've had Chubb the first 8 weeks, right? To me, it's real hard because I love Zeke. I think Zeke is a class act, and I think he's a guy that could do everything. He's even
wait a minute. Did you call Zeke a class act?
No. Well, yeah, you're right. On the field. On the field.
All right.
Yeah, I mean he's still a one better class act than Hunt so far, right?
He's that's true, but he's definitely more of a running back that can will his team if he needs to. He can get that extra yard after or 2 yards of after contact if need be, and he's
one
dangerous.
He's one of the couple running backs in the league right now that can take over the game. And I know you want to say Kareem Hunt is that running back, but Kareem Hunt was also in an Andy Reid offense. So
my question is,
I want to see.
I know you have stats. I know you have stats nearby. Who's got more rushing yards this season, Nick Chubb or Dak Prescott? I mean, or Ezekiel Elliott?
Lamar Jackson. No. I actually don't have stats up, but we can take those season leaders real quick. I don't know if they're updated for this week. I'm sure ESPN updates them. But it's not fair, too, because Zeke catches a little more, and also he hasn't taken over any games. We agree that the Cowboys need to go back to being pro-Zeke. So this doesn't necessarily say – this just says that one team's using their running back better. Because I don't think you'd say – you might like your running game better. I don't think you'd say you'd rather have Chubb over Zeke.
I feel like it's, worst case scenario, 1A, 1C, to be honest. I don't think Chubb is really that far off.
Zeke isn't in the top 5.
What's
Chubb is number 2.
But what's his yards thus far?
607, assuming these are updated. I didn't know we were talking about that. And McCaffrey's number 1.
What about touchdowns?
I don't know, dude. Makes for a bad podcast. We could tweet this.
Oh, okay. All right. I was just curious.
I'll pull it up. If I had it ready, we can look. But and touchdowns, just like I tried to show for Zach or for Dak, touchdowns can't tell the whole story. Sometimes you just play well. Sometimes you just play efficiently, right?
Can I ask you this to prove more of my point? Which team thus far has had a tougher schedule, the Browns or the Cowboys?
Well, the Cowboys. Oh well, the Cowboys played the Packers, and who else hard did they play? That's the only tough team.
The Saints. And the Saints.
And that turned into a defensive struggle. So that was a weird game. Well, obviously, I guess the Browns have, but the Browns have.
Like, here's my thing is.
Here's the last one.
This is what I don't want from you. This is what I just want some credit. I obviously we're fumbling. We're out there, reminiscent of the drive. We got all this
Browns credit.
We got all this talent, and we're fumbling it on the 1 yard line to go to the Super Bowl. Yes, it's retro Browns mistakes.
I'm giving the Browns credit.
We've played very good teams this year. I mean, one of the teams we lost to was the NFC West is a tough division this year. We've played the Seahawks, the 49ers, who are 5-0. They're undefeated.
Yeah,
and the Rams.
I really get into them, but yeah.
And the Rams are still a respectable team with a phenomenal pass rusher. So I just
you're
think
not getting crap for me. I think the Browns are going to be good. You've just tempered your expectations. This Wayne is different from the preseason Wayne, is what I'm saying. Last one, and then we're gonna wind it down. And then we'll take notes on the podcast. We'll start doing all kinds of other stuff. MMA, a lot of MMA, and we probably do an MMA and boxing show separate, I think. So let's wind it down. This one's the easy one. I'm just giving you the easy one. Not that the Cowboys receiving game is bad, but obviously the Browns receivers, that setup is a lot better than what the Cowboys have. I would definitely rather have that. To me, Landry, I might be overrating Landry. I don't know. But to me, Landry's a wide receiver 1. And then to have the best receiver in the league, arguably, or at least the top 3 guy with him, if the tight end is healthy, that's a good receiving core. So I know what you're going to say, but let's just put a stamp on it. I also would rather be in the Cleveland Browns situation. And not only that, let's look macro. That division that the Cowboys are in is going to be tough for a long time. New rookie quarterback with the Giants, with the other best running back. So that team's going to get better over the next couple of years. The Eagles are still good. The Eagles are still good. And Washington's going to suck for a while. So you guys are in a better situation because the Steelers are in flux. Baltimore's good, but Lamar Jackson, the jury's still out on him. And the Bengals are going to be bad for a while because Andy Dalton's probably going to play next year too, and they need to start rebuilding. So, yes, I think that the Cowboys have it worse off, that they're a win now team. They need to figure it out because they need a little bit of luck. With a little bit of luck, if they start using Zeke, like we agreed before, and maybe some nice injuries with teams that they're playing, they can make a run in the playoffs. But I think the Browns are better set up. They need to have a new focus on coaching, and that's your point, and we'll go with it. And mine, which is also yours, is they need to start protecting. Work on getting that offensive line better as Baker Mayfield starts to learn how to release the ball more, which I think he could do today if he gives it more to Jarvis Landry. If Jarvis Landry has 10 to 12 targets or more per game, I think we actually came to consensus, Wayne. These people, if this is the first time the people have seen you and I talk, they're going to be like, "Oh, these guys agree all the time." Right. That doesn't happen very often. Yeah. So we'll have to make the next topic how good is Tom Brady, and then they'll see the battle. Angelo would actually been a great addition to this podcast because he meets somewhere in the middle. He was saying from the beginning that the Browns were going to be an 8-8 team this year, but going to go on and win championships or get deep next year. But he's a big Dak fan. And you and I are lukewarm at best on Mr. Prescott, on Mr. Dakota Prescott.
I mean, I like the kid, but I think, he's a 4th round pick for a reason.
Okay. Last words. I'm going to close it up.
Final words. Go Browns. I'm super excited to watch one of the upcoming UFC events. Nick Diaz and Jorge Masvidal fighting for the BMF belt.
That is bad, motherfucker.
I fancy myself one. Based on a long lifetime of experience.
Yeah, but you're the belt holder in slap fighting.
But I do respect, this big win from Joanna Jacek. She represented. Big win for her, and her confidence. And let's go Cavaliers. You know what I'm saying? Let's go.
We got an NBA
Cavaliers.
We got to do an NBA show. We got to do a fight show. Canelo's fighting soon, so all combat sports. The Bad Motherfucker title's coming up. Not only that, but in the wings, hopefully in the next few months, hopefully in the next few weeks, we get an announcement. I don't think it's been announced. Now I forgot. Of the best fight you can possibly make. We just saw one of the best fights you can make, which was Adesanya versus Whitaker. The next best fight you could possibly make is Khabib versus Tony Ferguson. A lot of fighting to talk about, a lot of football to talk about. Basketball season's starting. Angelo's more my baseball guy, although you can poke in a little bit. We got 2 Cleveland Indian fans there. So lots of sports to talk about. We're going to be doing it audio podcasts. When we figure out how to add Wayne to the audio podcast, we'll do that. We'll be doing live streams, and we'll start trying to build a little bit of an audience here because Wayne's new to this live streaming on YouTube. Wayne, that the audience when they get on when it's live, they can put questions, they can ask questions.
That's cool. That's definitely cool.
So when you go and rewatch this, and we'll take notes about sound, how to improve it, video, flow. I think the flow of this podcast is actually good. You'll be able to go and see the live chat, and there's only one chat, and it's mine, and it says who has it worse, the Cowboys or Browns. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. If you're watching on the rewind, find us at Caddick Sports on Twitter. You can find me at Chris Sarda on Twitter. You can find Wayne at Never Do I Lose with a bunch of underscores or whatnot. I'll retweet it. You'll find Wayne, and thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. This is not going to be a Browns podcast every time, I promise. Well, we're going to let Wayne do his own Browns podcast. Have a great day.
Dog check.
We're out of here. Thank you, guys.
Peace.